They used to call her the class loser. She wore old clothes, carried a torn backpack, and sat alone during lunch while others laughed at her. Every day she was bullied and humiliated, but she silently whispered to herself, "One day, I will come back stronger." 10 years passed. Her old classmates organized a reunion and invited her, not out of kindness, but to mock her again. "Let's see what the loser is doing now," they joked on the day of the reunion. The hall was filled with loud music, fancy clothes, and people bragging about their lives. Suddenly, a thunderous sound came from outside. Everyone stepped out in confusion. A helicopter hovered above the building and slowly landed. The door opened, and SHE stepped out. She walked with confidence. Elegant, calm, transformed. The classmates stared in disbelief. "Is that really her?" Someone whispered. They finally asked, "What do you do now?" She smiled softly. "CEO of my own company." Silence filled the air. The same people who once mocked her couldn't even meet her eyes. Never underestimate someone because of who they are today. You don't know who they will become tomorrow. In school, she was the girl no one wanted to sit with. Her hair was messy, her shoes were worn out, and her notebooks were filled with second-hand pages. Every morning, she entered the classroom quietly, hoping no one would notice her. But they always did. They laughed at her clothes. They laughed at her silence. They laughed because she was different. During lunch, she sat alone under the old tree behind the school. Sometimes she pretended she wasn't hungry because she had no lunch to bring. But even then, she studied harder than anyone else. She believed that one day, her life would change. Once, after school, she overheard a group of classmates laughing. "She's so weird. She'll never become anything. She's the class loser." She walked away with tears in her eyes, but with fire in her heart. Years passed. 10 long years. Everyone built their lives, jobs, relationships, cars, families. But they never forgot her. Not because they missed her, but because she was their favorite target point. One day, a reunion message popped up. Her old classmates created a group chat and added her. Not to welcome her. Not to see how she was doing. But to laugh again. "Let's see if she still looks poor. Maybe she'll come in those same old clothes. This will be fun." She saw every message and smiled. Not out of anger, but because they had no idea who she had become. The reunion day arrived. The hall was decorated with lights, golden balloons, photo boards, and the same faces, now older, but still carrying the same arrogance. People bragged about their salaries, vacations, designer watches. Someone even said, "I bet she won't even show up." Just then, a deep rumbling sound rolled across the sky. It wasn't thunder. It wasn't music. Everyone stepped outside in confusion. A helicopter appeared, slicing through the air. The wind blew dust everywhere as it slowly descended onto the open ground beside the hall. People shielded their faces, their clothes, their hair. The helicopter door opened. A pair of polished heels touched the ground first. Then she stepped out. Not the shy, scared girl they once mocked, but a confident, graceful, successful woman. Her dress was elegant, her posture powerful, and her eyes calm. The crowd stood frozen. Someone whispered, "No way, that's her?" Another said, "How is this possible?" Inside the hall, she walked past them with an air of dignity. People forced smiles, pretending they had never bullied her. "So good to see you. You look amazing. We always knew you'd do well." But she knew the truth. Their words didn't hurt her anymore. Finally, someone gathered the courage to ask, "So, what do you do now?" She looked around the room. The same people who once made her cry, now waiting for her answer. With a gentle smile, she said, "I'm the CEO of my own company. We opened our 3rd international branch last month. That's why I was running late. I flew in straight from a business meeting." Silence, pure silence. The people who laughed at her poverty were now speechless before her success. She didn't rub it in. She didn't brag. She simply added, "You know, life changes, but only if you don't give up on yourself." For the rest of the evening, the same classmates who once ignored her couldn't stop staring. They whispered among themselves, wondering how the class loser had become the most successful person among them. When she left, the helicopter lifted into the night sky, leaving everyone stunned. They invited her to mock her, but she arrived in a way they would never forget. Sometimes the people who laugh at you today end up clapping for you tomorrow.